Mercedes drops bombshell on Hamilton after shocking U-turn. So we're going to be going through that and 3 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Mercedes news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting that red button down below. The first story is Max Verstappen to Mercedes F1 switch not ruled out just yet, and could be a shocking move. Jos Verstappen has not ruled out the possibility of his son Max switching to Mercedes for the 2025 Formula One season. An altercation between Jos Verstappen and Red Bull team principal Christian Horner has been a hot topic of conversation in Austria. According to the former F1 driver, Horner did not want Verstappen Sr. to take part in a Legends parade at the circuit. Horner responded to the suggestion as tension between the pair, which was publicly sparked earlier this year, emerged once again. Asked by Sky Deutschland about his son's immediate future with the Red Bull team, Verstappen Sr. said, "There is so much going on, so I don't want to say too much about it." The intra-team power struggle, which has been present for much of the year, has seen 3-time world champion Verstappen linked with a drive to Mercedes, despite having a contract at Red Bull in place until 2028. With Mercedes' Toto Wolff heavily pursuing the Dutchman's signature, Verstappen Sr. was asked if a switch to the Brackley-based squad is not out of the question for Max, to which he replied, "Correct." Verstappen's comments came moments after Max took sprint pole in Austria, an effort praised by his father. "Everyone is close together and Max drove a perfect lap," he said. "He was very strong. It will be a nice race," and I think Max was satisfied. Mercedes has revealed that the floor damage on Lewis Hamilton's Formula One car during the Austrian Grand Prix amounted to be worth 2.5 tenths per lap. Hamilton came home a distant 4th at the Red Bull Ring as Mercedes teammate George Russell capitalized on Max Verstappen and Lando Norris's late clash to win. The Briton made a strong start to pass Carlos Sainz, but worries that he would be penalized for running wide at Turn 1 prompted him to be told to hand the spot back. Hamilton would then be hit with a 5-second penalty as an oversteer moment saw him cross the pit entrance line, and he ended up 23s behind Russell come the end. However, the margin between the Mercedes pair was attributable to underside damage that was costing Hamilton marked performance around a circa 70-second lap. "Yeah, it was one of his bad days," Mercedes boss Toto Wolff reviewed. "A pretty decent start and then turn 1, lap 1, giving the position back was a harsh thing. But it was pretty clear that we wouldn't be getting a 10-second penalty by not doing it. Then it started to spiral. He pushed very hard on the entry, you can see how much he pushed, lost the rear, and then obviously the next penalty came about. On top of that, we had floor damage because of the curb ride, which I guess most people have, but his was extensive. It was 2.5 tenths in parts that broke off on the curb, so no reason to be angry or upset about it." Hamilton admitted that he's unsure when he incurred the damage that prevented him from chasing down Sainz's Ferrari to make it consecutive rostrum appearances. "I'm not really quite sure," he expressed. "I think I got, in Turn 1, a bit of damage, and then the floor is just falling apart. I don't know when I got the damage from that." Regarding the time drop that dealt another setback to his hopes in the 71-lap race, Hamilton stated, "I haven't yet seen the video, so I don't have much more to say." The 7-time champion cut a despondent figure as he asserted the inroads that delivered Mercedes' first win since November 2022 hadn't changed much for him. "I mean, from my side, it's not that different," he expressed. "But George, as you can see, he's doing pretty well. So, that's a huge boost for us." He added, "A big victory for George and the team. This is an amazing result." The second story is Hamilton details insane extent of Mercedes' weakness. Lewis Hamilton says it is insane how much slower Mercedes is compared to Red Bull in high-speed corners after Max Verstappen took pole position for the Austrian Grand Prix in dominant fashion. The Dutchman was over 0.4 of a second clear of his nearest rival in McLaren's Lando Norris. Mercedes teammate George Russell qualified in third, over half a second back from the Red Bull, whilst Hamilton himself was nearly 0.6 of a second slower. The 39-year-old will line up for Sunday's race in fifth, with the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz just ahead. However, despite the staggering gap, the seven-time F1 champion was quick to highlight the steps forward taken by the team from the sprint portion of the weekend at the Red Bull Ring. Changes into qualifying, the car was better, no real major issues, Hamilton told media, including Racing News 365. We're down a lot in the high speed compared to Max, like a lot. It's insane how much faster they are in high speeds. I think they're about 12 or 13 kph faster. We just don't have enough downforce. We haven't made any compromises, that's just all we got. Throughout the weekend in Spielberg, Mercedes has found itself battling with Ferrari, whilst Verstappen and the McLarens enjoyed control of the top three. However, the Dutchman has appeared to take a step forward, leaving Norris adrift and closer to the chasing pack. As to how Mercedes might best remedy the lack of downforce and overall performance gap, Hamilton was out of ideas. "I don't know the answer," he said. "I honestly don't know the answer. If I could take a piece of downforce and chuck it on the back, I would. But that's not how it goes. We're just going to continue to work on improving, but the notion of us potentially winning a race this year when you get a half-a-second gap like today makes it a little bit further down the road, but we've got to keep pushing." Mercedes has been called to the stewards after a bizarre incident with a rear jack in the final part of qualifying saw Hamilton's car released in an unsafe condition. The team will likely be fined. Mercedes has explained how it has managed to fix the correlation issues that were affecting its on-track numbers and simulation data. As the team struggled with the ground effects rules, it was often described how good numbers were being generated in the simulator, but this would not translate into consistent on-track performance. The team has, however, begun to make strong steps forward in recent races, aided by the arrival of a new front wing in Monaco, allowing George Russell to nab pole in Canada before he took a podium finish, with Lewis Hamilton claiming his first rostrum visit of the year in Spain. Trackside engineering director Andrew Shovlin has given a detailed breakdown of the problems the team was facing with its correlation and how a more accurate representation has been put together to boost performance. "You are constantly working on the correlation in the simulator to the extent where the drivers will finish a race weekend and they'll come to us on the Monday or Tuesday and help us work on getting the correlation to match the car they had," Shovlin told media, including Racing News 365. "It is definitely a big factor because that is how you develop the cars these days by and large, and it is a lot easier when you are racing all the time. You've got data coming in to confirm the things you are doing to actually make the car go quicker, where we can look at the qualifying gaps to pole, and that was matching what we were finding on the sim, which was genuinely adding performance." The third story is, Mercedes will take as long as possible to make Antonelli F1 decision. Mercedes Motorsport boss Toto Wolff says he will take as long as possible before committing to who will replace Ferrari-bound Lewis Hamilton at the Formula One team next year. The German manufacturer is pondering whether to promote its protege Andrea Kimi Antonelli alongside George Russell, or continue its quest of luring triple world champion Max Verstappen, who is contracted to Red Bull until 2028, but could consider leaving the team before then amid an internal power battle at the energy drinks giant. Wolff has previously stated that, rather than trying to lure Verstappen with promises, the Brackley-based team's focus needs to be on improving the pace of its troubled W15 challenger. Then, he suggests, the best drivers would automatically be attracted. While the early run of races in 2024 proved to be difficult for Mercedes, back-to-back podiums in Canada and Spain have provided hope that the squad is finally close to making a breakthrough. Asked if the performance Mercedes has shown in the last two rounds was now enough to convince Verstappen to jump ship, Wolff reiterated Mercedes' stance that it needs to focus on extracting more speed out of the W15. He said, "I think we need to just continue to improve and look at ourselves, most importantly, as a team with our drivers, Lewis and George. We've just got to get better and hopefully consolidate our ability to get on the podium and, at a certain stage, be able to win races on our own, and good drivers will want to come." However, Wolff also made it clear that he is not holding any conversations with Verstappen about the Dutchman cutting short his Red Bull contract to join Mercedes next year. No, there's no talks that are taking place at this stage. Because I think we need to look at ourselves and on improving the car, he said. There have been reports in the German press that Mercedes has already decided to promote Antonelli, who is currently in the middle of his maiden season in Formula 2 with Prema. The reports follow the FIA announcing it will consider giving special dispensation for a super license to 17-year-old drivers, paving the way for Antonelli to make an FP1 outing, or even his Grand Prix debut with a team like Williams, before he turns 18 in August. However, Wolff denied that Mercedes has already made up its mind on Antonelli, stressing that it wants to see how the driver market develops before making a call on who will take Hamilton's seat in 2025. No driver decision has been made, I said. We want to keep this decision as long as possible,